Right. Hello, happy witching hour. This is High Priestess Jamila. I thought I would come and talk to the witches about what is it? Hi, Heinrich Kramer. I think it's Heinrich or something Kramer. Anyway, I don't know how I stumbled upon uh what was I searching? I was searching for something on YouTube and I come across this book and a couple of people talking about this book called malleus maleficarum or maleficarum or something like that. And so I'm like, I was like, that sounds kind of cool. But then when I clicked on it and I realized that I had just ran into a crazy, crazy piece of history from way back. This dude wrote a book, Malleus. I'm going to pull it up on my TV. Oh, God, the most evil misogynist in history. Goodness gracious. And a very foolish, ignorant one at that. All right, let me find it, witches. I'm going to find it. I think that some of you may be interested in this particular teaching today. And so basically, from what I gather and from a lot of opinions of other people, is that this dude was obviously a misogynist, obviously, right? People that knew him knew how much he hated women with a passion. Malleus maleficarum, which it's supposed to translate in Latin to the witch's hammer, but when I translated it, I got wishbone. I don't know. So this book was written in 1484. Basically, he was I think he was German, a German churchman. So he wasn't like a politician or even, he was basically just a man. But somehow he wrote a book and caused the death of 70,000 people. That's a lot of freaking people. What are the odds that some of you witches, 70,000 people, three-fourths of those people were witches? What are the odds that some of you witches could have existed during that time in a previous life? I'd say the odds would be pretty big. 70,000 people. It was probably more than that, honestly. So apparently, this dude, it's kind of funny. It's very ironic because he wrote a book exposing witchcraft when he obviously didn't even know anything about it. That's what's so funny to me. So he's like the first witch hunter, right? He didn't live long. He wrote the book in 1484 and died in 1505. So y'all do the math. He didn't look that old based upon the pictures. But there's a lot of inflammation that there's a lot of not inflammation. There's a lot of information that spirit for some reason just started telling me about this dude. First of all, dude was a demon. He's a shape-shifting type of demon, actually. And he did hate women. He did indeed. But I think the hatred of women when it comes to misogynists, honestly, I believe that the reason why they hate women is just because they hate life. They don't really want to be here. A woman had to, well, maybe a woman didn't bring him into this world, though, come to think of it. Obviously, he was not like a normal man. There's no freaking way this dude was normal. From what I saw about him is that he was a shapeshifter, a shape-shifting demon. So I couldn't really put him where the fuck I wanted to put his ass. But anyway, maybe later. But obviously, this is a person that if you're a witch, you want to know about this person, if you know what I mean. So apparently, the church had pretty much rejected him, okay? Because he went to the church initially and they gave him permission, but then he went out and he started, like, I guess, kidnapping people and basically torturing them. And for some reason, he was very interested in the sex lives of the witches. Like, what the hell does my sex life have to do with my religious beliefs? But so he was a prevert too. He was a pervert. And by the time he had died, he had been disgraced. His book is still for sale, and there's actually people buying this book. It's supposed to be the most evil book in history, which I'm glad that people recognize that. Now, the crazy part about it is that back then, there was not much of a difference between witches, sorcerers, midwives, and medical practitioners. That's what's very interesting. So, I do plan to do more research on this subject, because I really, that's something that I've really been picking up on a lot. I think it would be interesting to do a reading on this, like maybe a collective reading. Were you alive during this time? Did you exist as a witch? Because really, a lot of witches believe in past lives. Like, that's a witchy thing. Believing in past lives is a witchy thing. Okay. Because a lot of us witches, we feel very connected to this earth and very familiar with all of the happenings. Um, and so what's crazy to me, though, is that people like this man, they do a whole lot of evil things, even to innocent people. But, I'm wondering, I should have did a little bit more research to find out exactly when the Crusades came, because I'm thinking maybe the witch hunting, because they say he was the first and he was alive during the 1400s. So maybe perhaps the other stuff came after him. So this dude is like, he's an evil legend is pretty much what he is. And my goodness, so this obviously bad behavior of these men obviously repeated after that. And what's crazy is that when you try to rationalize it to them, and when you try to rationalize it to them, especially because they're Bible, they believe in that Bible, right? And but when you ask them, when you say, my God, I mean, are you trying to say that witches are God? Because pretty much one of the things that happens is that huge curses and plagues throughout history, because of the persecution of witches specifically, have happened. If they were to do their research, they're not going to want to admit to this, witches. They're not going to want to admit to that. But when you think about it, plagues and bad things happened after they did these crusades and these witch huntings. You're saying that the witches did that? Wow, we must be God. because those are acts of God. Like, y'all remember the plague and stuff like that, which was much worse than this recent pandemic. I mean, a mask wasn't going to do you no damn good. Okay. Like when we think about plagues in history, I believe that it has something to do with God's wrath, but I think it's because men believe, and so many people believe that those words in that Bible are gospel. Why is it that the whole world, who I think it's down to 70% of the whole world believes in Christianity, like to an exact T, right? How do we know that? Yeah, how do we know that y'all are just not wrong all the way? How do you know that those are the actual words of God? That's what I'm saying. I've been questioning that my whole life. I'm sorry if I'm a woman and I have a brain. How do you know that God, like those were men that wrote that Bible? There's no special footage or evidence of God taking a pen and a paper and reaching his hand down from the sky, like writing this text. So people just trust, and people usually trust the wrong people, eh, you know? And so, how do y'all know that when y'all go out and y'all kill and torture all of these witches, how do you know that God is not punishing you for that? Okay. So, witches, when you protect your house from bad spirits, you better protect your house from witch hunting spirits. Giving y'all some good information right now, witches. Y'all say y'all witches. Okay, we got to take the good with the bad. How do you know this dude ain't been haunting you? How do you know? You don't know. He is a spirit. He's a dead man. He died in 1505. There have been many others that have preceded them. How do we know that these witch hunting spirits are not like haunting us and possessing people and shit? Because people do tend to act real stupid when it comes to witches and witchcraft. And basically, the history of witchcraft was always healing. It was. There were some people that did take it to a very, very dark place. But then again, so do Christians and other religious people. They will take their religion to a very dark place. So, that's just like we can't say that all Christians or all religious people are the same. Can't say that because they're not all the same. People are different. There are a lot of religious people, there are a lot of Christian witches. So, if you really, really feel like you a witch, you may have to like put up some kind of ward to keep this dude up off of you. Because I believe that spirits walk all the time. Now, the crazy part about it is that this dude was obviously intrigued by witches, obviously. But he had a sick problem. He was a psychopath. I'm pretty sure that he raped some of those witches. He tortured them, which usually includes some kind of sexual torture, usually. So, yeah, it's crazy. And you know what? Some of the spirits that I pick up on, you can tell that they're very, very old. You can tell just by the way they feel. I can tell the age of a spirit. So he had a partner whose name was Jacob Springer, actually. But by the end of this dude's career or whatever, Jacob Springer had turned against him. Hey, good morning, 1EQL. So Jacob Springer apparently had turned against him and was like, tried to stop him because he didn't like what he was doing. And, I think Jacob I think he passed away before Heinrich or whatever his name was. But he basically forced this dude's name as a co-author of the book, even though he didn't agree with what he was doing and tried to stop him. Now, it's funny how this dude, they say he died. I would say that this guy must have done something to him. That's what my intuition is picking up on. I think that we all should look at things like this. Even African American witches, a lot of you witches, you do realize that you wasn't black in every lifetime, boo boo. So some of y'all could have been in Germany getting tortured to death by this dude. Never know. Never know. We all, especially if you feel very, very passionate about misogynistic men to the point where oh God, it's a God awful. It's awful. It's an awful feeling because this dude was wrong for what he did. Um, being guilty of witchcraft, because if somebody said, "Hey, do you practice witchcraft?" I'm gonna hold my hand on. I'm gonna say guilty. But I do so much to help people, and witches actually battle a lot of bad spirits for people too. So there was some mention of some kind of what also comes up when you do research on this guy is that what they consider to be good witches, healers. I think all witches are good. I'm gonna tell you why they are all good, even the ones that get on your fucking nerve. Because you know what? If you understand anything about witchcraft, you understand. If you a witch, also, you should never ever believe that another witch can fuck you up. That's the first thing that you learn in my class. Another witch can't fuck you up. If you believe that, then other witches will just fucking fuck you up all the fucking time. And, it's nothing wrong with me saying that. I'm not afraid to say that. Number one, I come straight from the heart. I'm a loving person, love everybody, especially the witches. So if I were to have a witch turn on me, I don't give a fuck. Witch, heifer turn on me then. So you can't mess with me. You can't mess with me. For real. So and everybody should feel that way. If you don't feel that way, if you don't believe in that, then people will just be able to run all over you. So, I can honestly say that, like, you know, yeah, don't trip. Don't fear the reaper. Okay. But, yeah, I think it's interesting for you to know this, especially if you are a witch that goes through a lot of persecution. Every witch doesn't go through persecution. There were some witches that were kind of hiding out, probably in either Australia or friggin' Paris or the UK or maybe even America, and nothing ever happened to them. Like they never encountered one of these witch hunters. And dude was a demon, I'm telling you. That's what my spirits told me. I could see it when I saw his spirit because obviously, yeah. When I saw his spirit, he began to shapeshift. I'm like, yeah, you ain't right any damn way. Not saying that because there are some witches that can shapeshift. It is. It's actually considered to be a pretty good gift, you know. Uh I personally can't do it, you know what I'm saying? But, I guess if I did a glamour spell or something or cloaked myself to make myself look different to where people couldn't recognize me, I guess that would definitely work, but I would still look like myself. Like this dude's face started changing. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, bro. So a lot of you witches need to kind of like it's always about what you want, what you want, what you want, what you desire. It's good to desire things. You're supposed to desire things. You're supposed to. But learn your history. This is a person that a lot of witches should have been talking about. You don't hear what y'all doing? which I'm pretty sure that there are some that have. But, I'm just saying, like, you don't have to necessarily talk about it, make a book about, make a video about it. But, you definitely should be like, boy, you ain't welcome up in my house, because I can promise you that he's still roaming around here. And I can imagine that some of these crazy ass men probably they summon his spirit. I can imagine, misogynistic men, especially the MGTOW groups or whatever. It's like, bro, like, can us women just have our own state? Like, maybe just give us half of America so y'all can just stop with this shit. You know, this this whole thing is just crazy. But yeah, like, that's something else, ain't it? So, I think that somebody that made history like that, you know what I'm saying? Pay attention. Especially some of y'all mediums. And y'all be like, I saw a shadow figure. And shit, it might have been him. You know what I'm saying? Be careful. I believe in ghost proof in your house somehow. That's what I need, is to clear my house and ghost proof it of any malevolent energies or spirits, people, that's like roaming around. Because, I mean, okay, so y'all know that I believe in like the space time continuum, and I describe it as that because I'm really interested in history, like in the past or whatever. And even though dude has probably been reincarnated a bunch of times, I believe in reincarnation, but I also believe that your soul, as that original person, stays in that time. And yes, it can travel through the astral. Time travel is actually very real. There are a lot of videos about time travel on YouTube. Okay. And the proof, like, okay, somebody will say, oh, well, somebody made that up. But like, when you actually look at it, there's a lot of proof of time travel existing. People don't typically talk about that too much. There's been a few time traveling movies or whatever, but people don't tend to talk about things like that anymore. People are always talking about trash dumpsters, holes, and glory holes, and heaven and hell. People don't. It's like a zombie apocalypse. It's like people don't think anymore. That this whole millennium thing fucking sucks. Uh God should have stopped time in 19 no in the no, but then my babies, well, they would still been born. They just would have been everybody would have been born in 1999. And that would have been everybody's birthday that I gave birth to. Anyway, okay. But I think that the 80s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s was a kick ass point in time. If y'all notice, everybody is crazy and stupid these days. Like, just, oh my God. Everybody cray cray. It seemed like the zombie apocalypse. And I'm talking about people that just don't think. They just react and they don't think. So that's what I'm speaking about. And, it is a really, really crazy thing. And I think the book it would be interesting to read. Am I interested in buying a copy of that book? Hell to the no. Even though I'm curious about it, there's no way in hell I ain't buying that book, just like I ain't got no Bible in my home. Okay. So, and it just, it's my thing, but I think that it would be, to me, it would be considered a book of spells, like an extension to the Bible, if you were to buy this book. So I wouldn't buy it unless, I'm a little superstitious, so I wouldn't buy it. But it's so funny. It's so funny. So basically, he was talking about witchcraft and saying that, witches, basically, well, you know what? I need to find that it was supposed to be three things or whatever. I had it. I screenshotted it. Hold on. I screenshotted it. Let me see if I can get the whole thing. Oh, here it is. So the malleus maleficarum asserts that three elements are necessary for witchcraft: the evil intentions of the witch, the help of the devil, and the permission of God. Interesting. So, first of all, I think when it comes to the devil, I think that we all have somewhat of, if you look at it, there's definitely a connect for everybody, being that God created the devil according to your book. So if God created the devil and sent him down to hell to punish the wicked, then what the do you think you are? What do you think you are? Oh, there was nothing evil about murdering over 70,000 people. There was nothing evil about that. And what was he while he was killing those witches that were supposedly having all this fucking evil intent? Was he a bitch? You know what I'm saying? It just is weird, bro. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? That's crazy. I couldn't imagine our world without witchcraft and magic. It would, first of all, would be fucking. I ain't even gonna say it would be boring. It would be more than boring. This world would be empty. We wouldn't have trees. We wouldn't have flowers. We wouldn't have animals. It would just be, what the fuck would it be? And I just, it's just kind of like, damn, that's crazy. Can you imagine? Like, seriously. And you know what? I think if this dude is like hanging around your house and shit, you're gonna have a good Halloween. I would suggest all of you witches to clear any residual energy of this dude out of your fucking house. Just, you know what I'm saying? If you feel you've encountered his spirit or a spirit like him. I know that I actually created a sigil just tonight. It's very simple. A crisscross with a line down the middle. I know that that's already a rune, I think, but I don't know. I have to look it up. But it was what was in my intuition, and I think that people should like create something to keep that shit out of your home. If you haven't done so, you need to, because you never know, those spirits could be roaming around wreaking havoc in your fucking life. Okay, so, and because you think that a spirit, he's more like a phantasm though. But do you think a spirit gives a damn about the Constitution? They don't. So he basically seduced a bunch of people into getting involved with that. And so he's like the first witch hunter. So the first means what? Like he created the buzz. He created the trend of just, so basically, again, like I was saying, this dude was just a murderer. He was crazy. And he used witchcraft as an excuse. Oh, hooray, it's raining. Yay. He used torturing witches, to soothe his need to hurt people. It's basically what this dude did. And, that's why shit like that is very dangerous, because it's kind of like, oh, okay, so you felt so passionate about the evils of witchcraft, that you went and did something worse than practicing witchcraft, even according to your own Bible. Because isn't that like one of the 10 Commandments is to not kill? It's bizarre. So, uh, it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. I need some damn coffee. Damn it. I gotta go out there and get that. Fuck. Okay, I gotta go outside real quick. That's okay though. I'm glad that it's raining out there. That's crazy though, isn't it? And this is happening to this day. How many of you witches have felt tortured inside? Like, I've gotten used to it. But you ever just feel ick? Like, totally fucking disgusted by people preaching the gospel at you and shit? Like, that shit drives me insane. Like, would you shut up? God, it's fucking annoying. They're annoying. It's like torture hearing them speak about that. It is. Especially when they're speaking directly to me. I don't like it. Okay? Because it's based on fucking ignorance, dude. Like, shut up. Maybe if you leave me alone, I won't be evil to you. Hello? Hello? Shit. So, yeah, so that's just insane, isn't it? Just a crazy, crazy world that we got here, isn't it? The hypocrisy of it all. Are you freaking kidding me? They have committed more atrocities in the name of that freaking Bible than anybody else. Than any, like, not anybody else, but they have committed more atrocities in the name of that Bible. And I think it's just a fucking excuse to harm people. Okay. Crazy. And it's usually a woman, you know. So here we are. We have the foundation of the hatred of women. This guy obviously made history. But sadly, the history is very haunting. Sadly, it's a very haunted history because that shit was motherfucking evil. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all an interesting fact that I, the only time I ever need to call to Hecate, y'all all know who Hecate is, right? Hecate. The only time I really feel that I need to call to her is when I feel like I need healing. But there was this, I do remember being alive during that time, and of course I was a witch. Hold on, y'all. Look at what we got in here. Of course I was a witch, right? And I got killed because I was a witch. And I think I think there was some. I got crushed. It's is what I pick up on it, is that I got crushed to death. It just the only thing I remember is big boulders like weighed down on my chest to kill me, and that's how I died. So, you know, sometimes I have that past life regression every now and then, and it's, of course, I don't feel like there's a weight crushing me, but it just, I can sense it, and it's just really fucked up. I try to remind myself that everything is fine. I don't have to really necessarily trip off of certain stuff. Well, there's some stuff that I got to handle and deal with, and I'm handling and dealing with them shits. But there are times when it's difficult and it's hard to deal with that. I think that God creates witches, okay, just like God created angels or dogs or cats or birds. When you think about it, birds are pretty amazing creatures because they can fucking fly. So when you think about God's creation of a bird, that's pretty freaking amazing. I don't care. I'm still amazed by birds. A lot of people take it for granted, but it's like it's a flying object. Like that's pretty freaking amazing. And I love birds. I do. I love them because especially when they're like singing and stuff. So it doesn't make any sense. God did not create witches so that you could torture and kill us to death. So that's not why we were created, so that we could just be at your disposal. Just, oh, I'm a psychopath and I just feel like killing somebody. Those witches. Those witches. I'll get away with killing those witches over there. So that's crazy. It is. And so a lot of people will be like, well, then why would you want to be a witch then? Who the fuck wants you kind of don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. If you're a witch, you're a witch. Even before you acknowledge being a witch, you were a witch then, and you were going through shit because you were a witch. It's kind of how you discovered that you were a witch. Some of the things that you went. I'm not talking about in social media either, because a lot of people be like, nah, you did that. No, I'm talking about in your life. I ain't talking about social media, things that you're dealing with in social media. I'm talking about real life. Okay. So, yeah. But I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting to do research on it and to just, be like, bye bye, And he's got, witch hunter buddies and shit. So you probably, like a lot of us witches, at any moment we possibly have had close to thousands of spirits just surrounding our fucking house of these fucking ghostly people, and they're just like, yeah, I can't get in her house, and I'm like, you gotta get the fuck away from in front of my house too. I don't mean to cuss. Some of y'all might be new here. It's just, it's kind of, all of this whole world is like one big haunt. Everything, there's ghosts and spirits and shit everywhere. And they probably show up as soon as you start practicing. But just the fact that you're with, what I'm taking from it is that shit, that these are soul attachments. They could be attached to all of us witches and we don't even know it. They could just be attached to us. You know what I'm saying? So that would be an attachment that you may want to look into to see if you have some kind of spirit like hanging around you like that. And I break out the eucalyptus, I break out the camphor, I break out the salt, and I break out the sulfur is what I would do. And maybe the rosemary. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm a witch. I don't believe in attacking people and random people that I don't know. But I can assure you that most witches, when they do malevolent things, they do it to protect themselves because people, hell, you ain't even got to be a witch to get attacked. Hell, men, some of these men will attack other men. They attack other men. They attack women. You don't have to be a witch to be getting attacked by anybody. So, you know, anyway, I hope this was an enlightening discussion for y'all. And I urge African American women to start realizing that you could be on your thousandth incarnation on this earth, right? So you could literally have been here before thousands of times, or even a million times. You could have been here before, right? So y'all need to understand what your connection is. Maybe instead of throwing your card saying, hey, does he love me? Does he still love her? Hey. Instead of throwing your card saying that, maybe you should really look in your cards and find out some information about yourself, right? So that you possibly would need to get rid of some bad spirits that could be around you. Okay? And of course, before I go, I'm going to do a shameless plug. Yes, I do help witches, especially you baby witches. I help y'all. Okay? So that's something that we definitely do. I actually do I usually do a past life reading unless I forget. You have to remind me. But I usually do a past life reading during your the witches musing 2 hour session that I do with you guys. So you can find out then. You can find out what's up with that. Okay. Unless you're one of these people that really doesn't believe in witchcraft and you're just thinking that it's trendy to say that you're a witch, right? Okay. If you feel very strongly, most of us witches take our craft very, very seriously. And it is refreshing when I'm on YouTube and I see witches with their pride. That's a good thing. Okay. I like to see witches have pride in themselves and to be proud of a witch, proud of being a witch. And I love to see you guys loving and embracing yourself. Okay. Rather than thinking that, how like in the movies, what was that one movie? The Great and Powerful Oz. And how in that movie, you know, she turns into this evil witch, because she was bitter. So, every witch is not a witch because she's bitter or hurt or angry. That's another thing that we need to talk about. We're going to pin cushion that. You don't have to come to a witch for assistance just because you're bitter and angry about something either. Okay, it's not about that. It's about so much more than that. So just, just a pin cushion, just to put that on y'all mind too. I will see y'all later. Thank you so much for watching. Also, make sure that you subscribe to my Witches Broom channel, BROOM Broom channel. You can search it, you'll find it. I don't have the link right now. And hit that thumbs up. And like, share, and subscribe to both of my channels. I will see y'all later. Blessings. Bye.